Welcome to Revlog, where Aaron is showing us up today.
How's that?
You've got the full suit on there.
You're just immaculately
he is immaculately clothed. Hey, what are those cufflinks?
These are poppies, actually. It's Memorial Day that this will be showing on. And although poppies are more of a Veterans Day thing, poppies are also appropriate for Memorial Day. This was purchased for me at the World War I Museum in Kansas City, Missouri. So thank you for asking.
I did not realize how much he was showing us up.
Yeah.
It goes very deep.
It really does.
His thoughtfulness.
I do have a question about the cufflinks.
Yes, sir.
Are those actual poppies, or are they painted on? Or
They're painted.
Okay,
They're painted,
okay.
But yeah.
Very exquisite.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Yes, he is showing us up, Chris.
Yeah, it's fantastic, though.
Absolutely.
He's very thoughtful. And we're gonna
You're the whole package.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna need to lean on that whole package as we come to Judges today. So we're beginning a new Bible study, and we're looking. Title of the study is around heroes of the faith, looking at these and Judges. I mean, today we kind of come to Joshua's death.
Yes.
Caleb is still living.
Yes.
As we come to this. I mean, before we get into this text in Judges chapter 1, Bryan. What's your hope as we come to Judges?
A couple of things. I hope that we can learn that God is not administering litmus tests to everybody to ascertain whether or not we are perfect before we can enter into His service.
Gotcha.
Because
we're going to see some imperfect servants.
Of all the books, Judges would, probably receive an R rating. If you were going to be honest here, it is really rough, and it self-identifies as very rough. It just says, here it is. Everybody was doing whatever he thought was right. Yeah. And my second hope is that. Related to that is that we will understand that God is near. Yeah. He can be found. If we will seek Him, He will be found. Yeah. No matter where we are or how far we've fallen.
Yeah, amen. Aaron, what do you hope for in this study?
To never be so obese that if somebody comes up to me and stabs me, that's one of the most graphic stories in all of Judges.
I cannot.
Okay, that's not it. That's not it. The idea, and you have said this more than once in recent sermons, that our reliance is not on a system, it's on God and God alone, and that if we continue to put our trust in man, we're going to continue to be disappointed, and if we're rudderless, and so.
Yeah, in that way, I mean, men are going to fail you.
That's right.
I mean, we will fail.
Boy, that's for sure.
And anything led by a person, we're going to have our faults and failures, but the Lord does not.
That's right.
One of the things that strikes me here, and I'm going to have to get my mind readjusted, because it's kind of a time warp. We're moving back in the biblical timeline.
That's right.
Right? Because we've been with Solomon ahead of the story, and now we're kind of going backward, back to a time that's a bit more primitive than in Solomon's day. I mean, this is still sort of the early stages of who they were as a nation. And so we move from this sort of opulent height of Israel back to... pretty rough beginnings.
Yeah.
And so we'll jump in there. So Aaron, we come to this text. So it's broken up a little bit for us in reverse. But as you come to Judges 1, you hear of Caleb and the things that are following. What stuck out to you today?
Well, one of the things you're going to hear in the succeeding weeks is a lot of rinse and repeat. But here, verses 1 and 2 in particular, you see that they called out to the Lord, and the Lord responded. Yep. And had they just stayed with that kind of pattern, everything else that follows would have been different.
That's right.
But for this moment, they cried out to the Lord, who should go first? And the Lord responded, and then they acted.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, things are going to they're going to fall in line with how they should. However, this is not going to be how things go. But for here, death of Joshua, then they sought after the Lord, and then he responded.
Yeah.
And that's
right. One of the interesting things there, too, I was looking back recently over the life of David, and you can almost mark it when it says David inquired of the Lord, something good's about to happen.
That's exactly right.
When David is distant from the Lord, something terrible's about to happen.
Well, and just back that up even further. I mean, to King Saul.
Sure.
When King Saul heard from the Lord and responded, and then he decided to get ahead of God, and then that's where marked his downfall, and then to David, and so here we are. Yeah,
that's right. Bryan, as you read, what grabbed your attention?
This transition, a nation in transition. When Joshua dies, this is, except for Caleb, but Caleb was no Joshua, and what I mean by that is he wasn't appointed and anointed, kind of a lead,
like
kind
a national leader, right? Yeah.
Like Joshua was.
Yeah.
Direct descendant, leadership-wise, from Moses. And when Joshua dies, this is the passing of an era,
Right.
and it is what an era it was. I mean, to this day, the Exodus is the galvanizing event for Jews, and so this is the passing of an era here.
Yeah, and we kind of go Abraham, Moses, Joshua, and then kind of Judges, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It splinters in that
It does.
in that way, and it's a very risky time for this nation. When we're reading Judges, we're reading a passage through the narrows, the dangerous straits, that are very hazardous. And boy, it was hazardous. I mean, it really was. It's just fraught with danger all around. And in a different way than later on with the kings. I mean, you have some very rough times with certainly the northern kingdom, but even the southern kingdom too. Mm-hmm. But here, there's a question. It's almost an existential question. Are we just going to all go our own way, or and still you see the Lord raising up these deliverers.
Yeah, and it seems to kind of go back and forth between this sort of wild, wild west,
that's
and then
true.
surrendering to the Lord, and it's kind of
right.
one or the other.
That's right, because
where they fall.
You see the like you said rinse and repeat. The land had peace 40 years or whatever it was. Then another
spiral out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Aaron, as you read, what question came to mind?
Well, it's based on those same couple verses. Just, as I move forward, I see some crisis in front of me. Do I seek after the Lord for his counsel? And some of this, just like you said, I've got the Solomon study kind of looming large in our rearview mirror, and we see the wisest man on earth and how people sought after him for wisdom. And I think God gives us people in our sphere that are kind of an upline for us. Yeah. But we always need to make sure that we're seeking godly counsel and that the direction that we're taking is really in his line for us, rather than just deciding to do whatever we want to. Yeah. So just discerning as we move forward what God really intends for us to do.
Yeah, I was visiting with a friend and pastor the other day, and he was saying one of the things he's learned to ask lately when people come to him with problems is, well, have you asked Jesus about it? Which is kind of this same thing. Have you inquired of the Lord? Because you're bringing me all of these problems seeking an answer. And kind of his response was, I think you need to ask the Lord first before you ask me. And have you asked the Lord for an answer? And I think that is a fruitful exercise. Bryan, as you read the text, what question came to mind?
Aaron, you mentioned a word, discerning, and or discernment. And together with this, what you just said, Chris, about asking the Lord, I think, here's my question. My first question is, why aren't we looking at more judges? We're going to miss a lot of great stories in here in this study. I'm sad to say, but that's a quibble with the the actual outline of the study. But my real question is, will we look through the shards of human imperfection to see that the Lord is at work? Because we often want our miracles really nice and tidy.
Yeah, we do.
We want our word from God to be pristine.
Right.
And it's just not that way. It is extremely fraught with all of our finiteness and humanness. We can't get away from that experience. And the word of the Lord arrives to us in our shattered understanding. And we really need to pay attention to that, because what was God doing in somebody like Ehud, or Samson, or
Shamgar.
Deborah, or Shamgar, who, whatever. Yeah, Shamgar. We may never know, actually, now. But these are people. They're just people, and often they were very. We would look at those folks, and they'd go. We would say, there is no way, that you can have anything to do with what God is doing. I mean, look at you. We need to look a little more closely. And will we? Will we?
Yeah, that's good. It's good. We would love to hear your thoughts on what you hope for out of the study, or what you saw in Judges 1 this week, if you would comment below.